My name is Caleb Monroe. 31, Earth-born, single, and until 6 months ago, painfully average. I taught comparative literature at a mid-tier university and spent more nights with my cat than people. Now I'm a war prize. It started with a quiet night and a strange hum in the sky. Nothing dramatic, just a flicker of electricity and an aurora that shouldn't have been there. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hexagonal room made of translucent crystal, soft music playing from nowhere, and 2 very different alien women staring at me like I was made of stardust. One was tall, with skin like polished jade and 6 fingers on each hand. Her eyes were deep-set and gold, her expression as smooth as stone. She introduced herself in perfect English as General Veilray of the Kothari Empire. The other stood barely to her shoulder but radiated energy. She had shimmering lavender skin, bioluminescent freckles that danced with emotion, and a tail that flicked like a cat's. Commander Lyra of the Zaviri Unity, she announced proudly, eyes burning with defiance. Both claimed they had saved me from Earth's impending destruction, a planet-wide event I knew nothing about, and that I was now under their protection. They were lying, of course. The truth unraveled in fragments. I wasn't taken because Earth was doomed. I was taken because of a poem. One of my published papers, The Human Condition Through Love in Pre-Industrial Literature, had been intercepted by alien probes sniffing through our internet. The Kothari and the Zaviri, 2 superpowers in a galaxy-spanning Cold War, had both read it, and they had felt something they didn't understand. Love. Their species had been engineered for conquest, survival, or diplomacy. But not love. Not the raw, emotional, soul-binding concept humans baked into every story, song, and sigh. They didn't know what love was, but they knew it was powerful. And now they were convinced I, Caleb Monroe, literary professor, was the galaxy's only authority on the subject. I spent the next few weeks being studied. Not dissected or probed, but interviewed, recorded, shadowed. I explained love in every possible metaphor. I showed them films, Titanic, Pride and Prejudice, Wall-E. I taught them Shakespeare, then song lyrics, then old YouTube videos of soldiers returning home to their partners. The 2 factions had wildly different reactions. General Veilray approached love as a discipline. She believed it was a weapon, an emotional binding agent that could fuse loyalty to a cause. Her empire already trained warriors in mental discipline. Now she wanted to add love as the ultimate motivator. She wanted to weaponize it. Commander Lyra, on the other hand, felt something dangerous. The more she absorbed human culture, the more personal she became. She asked questions late into the night. She wanted to understand not just love in theory but what it meant to me. Who I had loved. Who I had lost. And I began to feel something in return. Tension escalated fast. Both species had agreed to share me on neutral ground, an orbital station designed as a diplomatic interface. But the more I talked, the more divided they became. Lyra became protective, almost territorial. Veilray became strategic, offering luxuries, comfort, and influence. They wanted me on their side. And then one day it happened. Veilray made a formal declaration. The Kothari Empire hereby recognizes Caleb Monroe as a strategic asset and claims full custody for the advancement of universal love-based cohesion protocols. Lyra responded by activating a fleet and issuing a demand. Caleb Monroe is under Unity care. Any attempt to extract him will be considered an act of war. Just like that, I became the spark. They called it the War of the Heart. Dozens of skirmishes erupted across nearby sectors. Not over territory, not over resources, but over me. The first human to be considered a key to universal love, as ridiculous as it sounded. Both sides still sent emissaries to my quarters. I became a propaganda piece, a contested symbol. Each side broadcast my teachings, edited and reinterpreted to justify their actions. But behind closed doors, I knew what they really wanted. They wanted my heart. Not metaphorically. Literally. They believed that whoever I chose, whichever side I gave my affection to, would be blessed with a deeper understanding of love. That emotional loyalty was more potent than any weapon. I tried to end it. I begged them both to stop. I told them love wasn't about possession or war. It was sacrifice, empathy, connection. And that's when Lyra kissed me. It wasn't planned. She'd come to my chambers one night, eyes brimming with something fragile. You said love is when you see the other person's pain and want to hold it with your own. I nodded, confused. She stepped closer, touched my face and whispered, "Then let me feel yours." Her lips met mine. Soft, hesitant, trembling like a first-time violinist finding a melody. In that moment, the war, the galaxy, the madness, all of it fell away. But the cameras didn't. Within an hour, the footage had been leaked. Kothari operatives declared the kiss a binding right. Veilray took it as a declaration of allegiance to the Unity. She retaliated with a direct strike. Ships burned. Stations collapsed. Thousands died. All for a kiss. I spiraled after that. Refused to speak. Refused to teach. I told them love wasn't real, that they had misunderstood it all, that it was poison. But they didn't listen. Both factions doubled down. Lyra begged me to stay with her, to help her people truly understand what it meant to love selflessly. Veilray, in contrast, arrived alone and sat across from me in silence for hours. Then she finally said, "I envy her. Not because she has you, but because she felt something before she wanted to own it. I see now that love begins in surrender, not conquest." That broke something in me. Because for the first time, Veilray had felt. And not through manipulation or strategy, but because she'd seen me broken. She stood up and bowed deeply. "I will end this war." And she did. The final treaty was negotiated in orbit around Earth, with me as the witness. The Kothari and Zaviri leaders met in neutral air, and for the first time in their history, embraced without calculating advantage. A new alliance was formed, not built on shared power but on a commitment to learn. Not just love, but all emotions humans carried like fire in our veins. They appointed me ambassador of emotional relations. I turned it down. Instead, I asked for one thing: let me go home. They hesitated, especially Lyra. She met me before I left, her tail twitching nervously. "Will you forget me?" "Never," I said honestly. "But love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go when you need to." She nodded. Her lips trembled, but she didn't kiss me again. Instead, she pressed a glowing stone into my hand, a Zaviri keepsake. For when you forget the stars. I returned to Earth 2 weeks later. No one knew I had been gone. Time had passed differently. I still looked 31, still had that teaching job, still had a cat who meowed at me like I'd just come back from work. But I wasn't the same. Because somewhere out there, love had become more than a human concept. It had become a force that changed civilizations, that ended a war. And I had been the prize.